Hey, that worked.
Apparently.
Apparently that worked. This is a very special episode, guys. Frames Perspectives, and it's the first time I've played with a video intro. You can tell it's a highly technical one if you're watching this. I'll eventually get. I'm not going to worry about it. I'll eventually get something that we can play as the show grows and expands and gets bigger and bigger. But in the meantime, welcome. This is Frames Perspectives. I am your host, Douglas Burns, founder of D&B Productions, a corporate photography firm based in Houston, Texas. And joining me today is my friend, good friend, and colleague, Paolo Ciccone. I want to call you an Italian photographer, but you're not in Italy.
I'm not in it. Well, I'm Italian. I'd like to say I'm an Italian-born photographer now residing in beautiful Charleston, South Carolina.
And you do live in one of the most beautiful cities in the country.
We don't complain, yes. And in fact, we have so many people coming here. I think the last time I checked was about 50 people move to Charleston every day.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, we are attracting a lot of people. So,
That's
and
great.
yeah, I am one of them, by the way. I wasn't born here, as anybody can hear. I was born in Italy. I spent 22 years in California, and 9 years ago, we decided to move here and never looked back.
Never look, and you haven't looked better. Well,
I don't know about that.
we both have a little bit of gray on the top, so that's all right. Well, hey, look, guys, Paolo and I go back several years now, and he's an incredible photographer, and we're going to
So are
be
you.
talking. Thank you, I appreciate that. We're going to be talking photography, guys, and I want you to come on with your questions, and specifically, we're going to be talking about headshots today. If you're joining us live, we are live on LinkedIn, we are live on YouTube and
Wow.
Facebook, and I'll post the recording on Twitter eventually. So, or X or whatever
Yes,
XYZ, right?
name du jour.
A site formerly known as. Um, I will have to call him back.
Yes.
The
What do they call when we are not available?
always. Actually, that's my CPA. I actually do need to talk to him. It's being the first of the year. Um, but yeah, we're talking. So I've guys, if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that we're normally talking business and marketing, and that's extremely important. But being a photographer, sometimes it's just fun to talk shop, and so that's what Paolo and I are going to be doing is talking shop today, talking about photography, specifically about headshots, and specifically how you can improve and need to improve, and what you can do to utilize your headshots and utilize headshots to help propel yourself, propel your brand, propel your business, your career, whatever that however whatever world you're working in, why it's important and why you need to really pay attention to that. So Paolo, welcome to the show. Finally got
Thank
you
you,
on.
thank you. And, Doug, let's start. So, as you know, I wanted to bring our perspective because we do photograph a lot of people every year, and of course, we have a few decades of experience behind us, and that's the advantage of the gray. And so I always think about experience is pointless if it's not used, and it becomes even more valuable when it is shared. So if you are a business professional, a business owner, or you're even just working in the corporate environment, so who among those people, all the business owners, entrepreneurs, who among them don't need a headshot? It's a
I would
trick
say there's
question.
probably nobody that doesn't need a headshot, and I'm going to include service techs in that guy. People who your HVAC techs and your home service professionals need headshots. And if you're a business owner that works in that world, why are you not creating quality headshots of the people that you send out into people's homes?
Exactly.
It's not only is it just good customer policy and good security and give and an extra give your customer base a little extra value and knowing that this Joe Blow is who's showing up to my house today. But gives you an opportunity to present some additional branding for your company, and if you do it with quality headshots that are well lit, beautifully taken, wearing company uniforms that are clean, with an appropriate background, then it's a chance for you to showcase your brand even more. So I would say there's probably very few people in today's world that don't need some kind of headshot. So and that goes all the way up to the corporate ladder, CEOs and
Exactly.
C-suite and everybody in between.
Exactly. So my here in Charleston there is a sort of a interesting trend I heard, I noticed in the last few years, and people saying, here in Charleston we are relaxed. We really don't need to be, uh, formal. We can be casual. And to my dismay, I've seen people who are involved in rather high level transaction. I say high level money. They are involved with money. We're talking about mortgage brokers, for example. Realtors. Anybody who is working with maybe a few $100,000 per client in transactions. You're buying a house, it's 3, 4, 5, 7, 8 million. We are talking about transactions of a certain nature, and if you're handling the mortgage of somebody's house, it's one of the most personal items that people have, unfortunately, as we see in these days, what's happening in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And exactly, man, we need a reminder, a terrible reminder. So when people are involved in money transactions, to me, being lax about their brand, their personal brand, it's not a way of being more, approachable. Quite the opposite. To me, it's really playing a dangerous game where it all depends. Why wouldn't you show your best image? And image and visuals are so important for us. And I'm thinking, wow, if you are a mortgage broker, if you are an IT security specialist, if you are a lawyer, if you are a realtor, and you're not investing, well, we're talking about a few $100s here. We're not even talking about, enormous amount of money. A few $100s in hiring an expert like us and having them craft a fantastic image. It's going to last you for 2 or 3 years at least. Then
if you're and a good image
a dangerous game, no?
should last a couple years, but I would say depending obviously on the role in which you play in your company, it's not uncommon to update your headshot every year or even every 6 months. I mean, it's let's face it, because we change. We gain weight, we lose weight, hair grows thinner, and that's just that. Some guys it goes thinner than others. Right,
you're telling me.
But it's guys may not you might have been clean shaven a year and a half ago. Now you're sporting a beard, maybe not quite as handsome.
Or the other way around. Yes.
But it was, Paolo, it was only a few years ago. Mine was, barely a half an inch long. So we change and we grow and time marches on, because that's what time does. So having something that's updated, how often does a woman change her hairstyle?
Hair color, yes.
Hair color, right? So having something that's updated every month, maybe a little extreme, unless maybe you're an actor. But if
then again, what is the damage there? I mean, I had a client who is a speaker, for example, and she, we did some great portraits of her acting as a speaker, with the slides behind her and all that kind of stuff. And we projected them here in the studio. And then she said to me, we need to do some more. And I said, yeah, that's great. Why we need to do some more? Well, because if I just show myself always with the same outfits and the same image, it looks like I've done one speech.
Right.
I just did one event, and then it doesn't look like I'm a speaker going, doing
Multiple
this for a living.
Right.
I thought that is such a great point.
Well, I'll go back to how I approach my commercial work, because it's always with who is the end viewer in mind, right? Now, you and I both come from film and television backgrounds,
Right.
And it's always what's the story we're trying to tell and who are we trying to tell it to? Well, the same thing applies in photography and especially in headshots, because the headshot may be more than just your government ID photo.
Oh, no, there is plenty.
It could, headshots these days can incorporate a half body or 3/4 length body shot in a variety of poses and a variety of outfits and a
Exactly.
variety of settings,
Exactly.
depending on what image, what story you're trying to
Yeah.
tell. And if you're needing a bunch for collateral purposes, doing headshots or doing portraits, every few months, say once a quarter, it's not a bad idea, so that image collateral continues to grow, continues to get bigger, and you've got more images now to market yourself. Here again,
Right.
depending on what kind of business you're in, but having a library of images from which to market yourself, be it on the various social media platforms, be it in traditional media, wherever. That's not a bad thing to have.
No, absolutely. But let's get the elephant in the room here, okay? Let's be adventurous here, because I like to play a dangerous game. So, what about phone today are so good? Who needs a professional camera? Because after all, what we are as photographers, at least in the minds of somebody, we are just the owners of a professional camera. Huh? So, yeah, who needs a professionally made headshot with these phones? So they're great, And why can I not be? I have a great selfie in my car with a safety belt.
I can go down to Home
Sorry.
Depot and buy
Why
it.
not? What's wrong with that?
It doesn't make me a carpenter. It doesn't mean I know how to build a house, right?
So why? But let's get in the details here. Specifically,
Yeah.
what are we talking about here? Because obviously, when people focus on my usual connection here is I tell people, look, can you, if I give you Stephen King's typewriter, can you write $1 million novel? And they're thinking about, okay, but let me tell you, if I give Stephen King a pad of paper and a pencil, he will write $1 million novel. So what is now? Let's get both our perspectives, okay?
Sure.
So, in your opinion, what is making the difference when people come to a professional photography studio and they get the headshot done by you, and then I'll give my perspective. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the tools are readily available. And so it doesn't matter if you're working with a cell phone, which is a glorified point and shoot. It's amazing what these little pocket computers can do these days. But whether you're using that, you're using a traditional SLR, you're shooting a nice medium format like what you've got behind you there, shot on 120 film, or let's go really wild and grab an 8x10 view camera and go real and get something really negative. That's the negative is this big.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter what the tool is. It's a tool. It's the
But it's important.
Yeah, I mean the photograph happens up here. It's this gray matter in between your ears that creates the photograph. So when you're working with a professional, be it you or myself or somebody else that works in the industry, We've taken some time to one study the craft. That's important. Someone who understands the craft and the art of what it takes to craft a beautiful photograph,
Hmm.
understands the language of light. What is
Hmm.
photography? The word really that the word means writing with light. That's what the word
Hmm.
actually lays out to. So understanding the language of light and how to utilize light and to bring out your subject's uh, best features. There's other because we can't pose ourselves. It's impossible. I mean, I try. I've taken my fair share of self portrait, not even selfies, but self portraits, right?
Yeah.
And trying to pose myself into the I got the it's you go through all these gyrations that you ask your clients to go through, which I think every photographer should do. But here again, I can't see myself.
Right.
So you know, there's all these little things that having someone outside of yourself who's done a little bit of study, even a little bit of study,
Yeah.
um, brings to the table that's going to elevate the portrait, the headshot, the picture that you create, whatever vision you may have as the subject matter,
That's
um,
right.
and then having that collaboration. I think, especially if the more you know about what it is that you're wanting to say and how you're wanting to be perceived, and bringing that to the table to work with your photographer, who's an artist in their own right, that collaboration will always produce a better product.
That is correct. So, see, this is getting to the heart of the question here, because people, if you are a business, let's say that you just started your own business, you are, uh, you're I don't know, an internet security expert, or you're working in many of the professional facets of our world, and you heard, oh, you need a professional, you need a good professional headshot. But many times people don't understand why that is. And what I hear most of the times is, people want to be recognized. And I'm thinking, what, really, that is not the case. Maybe it was 10, 15 years ago. I don't know, maybe not even back then. But today, in the world of social media, and in the world of images assaulting us all the time, people are expecting to make a connection, a meaningful connection with a business owner. Every time people go on LinkedIn, they look at your profile, and LinkedIn and Facebook are basically our social proofs. One of the mistakes I see a lot of people, a lot of business professionals doing, especially kind of older age like us, saying, "Well, I don't care about social media. I deal with people face to face." That might be, but the thing is this: even when you are doing business face to face with somebody, that somebody then will go to their office after they finish talking with you, and they will look on their phone, and they will go on LinkedIn, and they will find more information about you, because before they commit to a full business transaction or whatever it is that they're going to do, and commitment of time, lessons, what have you, they want to gather more information about you. We all do the same. But the thing is, when I talk with my clients, I said, people check you out, and don't you do the same? I said, yeah, I do the same. Exactly. And when they go on LinkedIn, what they want to see is how you present yourself, how you invest yourself, in caring for your own image. Because if you don't invest in your own business, ergo, they look and they find a selfie at a party, at a wedding, in your car,
God forbid on
obviously
the
in your car.
beach.
Huh?
God forbid a selfie on the beach as your LinkedIn profile.
We've seen them all.
Yes.
And what that says is, screams to our potential client, I'm not investing in my business. And so if you're not investing, how can you ask anybody else to invest in your business. So we have to show the right presentation, because the right presentation is like a business suit. It's basically saying, I'm here, I'm taking this seriously, and I'm here, presenting a certain care in my professional image out of respect to you, the viewer, because we are in the service of our customers. And so all that all that conversation may not go in through the mind of the person, not in so many words, but it does happen. And so that is where, if you are a financial advisor, if you're a realtor, if you're a lawyer, if you're a plumber, if you are a software engineer, I don't care what you do. If you do any of those things, you're not a portrait expert unless your free time, you spend it by in studying portraiture. But we are the experts in professional portraiture. And the other thing is this: when you were talking about this, say, oh, it's so hard even for us photographers to do a self-portrait, because you and the camera right there, and it just looks like a freaking machine. It's like, oh boy, I'm acting up in front of a machine. I'm so engaged, I'm so, I saw that clip of Ian McKellen. Oh my God, he's one of the greatest actors we have. And is there basically almost crying when he was doing Lord of the Rings, because he was in a room by himself with green screen, imagining a whole group of hobbits. And at some point, this, theater trained actor himself, he broke down and he was like, oh God, because he had to imagine things. It's the same thing when we're imagining, our audience in front of a camera. It's us and just a stupid cold machine. But if there is a photographer
staring at, it's a big old eye, and that big
right,
old eye,
exactly.
it's scary if there's not someone behind it talking to you.
Exactly.
So, look, my first job out of college, my very first professional job out of college, was working for NBC affiliate in Lubbock, Texas.
Wow.
Behind the camera, I was a run and gun news photog, but they wanted me to actually be an on-camera reporter at the same time.
Right.
Now that means I would go out by myself, and if you know every local news, well, and even the nationals, the reporter is at some point going to do a stand-up, which means he's going to be in front of that camera, talking to the class, talking to the camera, giving whatever the story is.
Yeah.
And I've got to set that up by myself. And now I'm staring at a big old 4-inch piece of lens, trying to engage and think about my story at the same time.
Right.
That's hard to do, even for people who are trained in doing it.
It is hard to do it.
Now imagine trying to do it, and you're just, even if just for a self-portrait, and you're trying, because it's more than just, look, you and I both know, a photograph, a portrait, let me back up, a true portrait, be it in the headshot genre or the fine art genre, a true portrait is the subject matter engaged with the viewer.
Exactly. Connection. That is exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah.
And you can't do that if there's not, or I won't say you can't, but it's extremely hard to do that if there's not someone physically behind that camera coaching you or working with you or engaging with you, so that when you're working with a professional photographer to craft those PR portraits, those press portraits, that media kit, the basic headshots for your website, for the about me section, right? If you're not working with someone who can engage you and get you to react, otherwise it's just it might as well be a DMV photo. How many of us hate our DMV photos?
Exactly. But because if Ian McKellen cannot get that that engagement, or has to struggle, what chances do we have here? And what I'm thinking here is this: so many selfies I see there are so completely inauthentic. They are they're clearly, the most
It's that cheesy,
inauthentic expressions.
yeah.
And that is because it's forced. It's very difficult. You really have to have it in you to be psychologically good at presenting a certain face. But if you have a photographer who actually is motivating you and is cracking a joke and is doing something, but there is another human being behind you, and somebody who, well, you and I have met hundreds and hundreds of people and
Mhm.
engaged with them, and we we are, trained in to that kind of interaction, and we love it. I love it. I love engaging with people. And so we when we talk to people, we feed off each other, the emotions and
It's the emotions and the energy. I mean, talk to
exactly.
any actor who's been on stage versus an actor versus that same actor who's been in front of on a film set or a TV set. The energy level is
Right,
so different when you've got a live audience
exactly.
there. And it's not that there's not an energy on a film set, which you and I have both worked on,
Right,
but it is so radically different versus an audience of 20, 40, 100, whatever, right?
right.
You feed off that energy. You really do. And so if you're getting your headshot made or you're getting a portrait made or you're doing and you want a photographer who's willing to make a fool of himself so that you come. I'm serious. I mean,
I do all the time.
every single time I get behind my camera, even when I'm doing a big volume headshot job, and I know you don't do the volume headshots, and because quite frankly, your work is gorgeous, and we're going to show some of Paolo's work in a minute, guys. So you're going to love it. It's absolutely incredible. But I mean, but you still have to perform.
Oh,
You
all
know,
the time, all the
you're
time.
performing as much, if not more so, for the client than the client ever gets back. But that's so that you get from the client what they need
Yes.
to present their best image to the people they need to project to.
The things that I have said to cause a reaction, I can't. And I tell my clients, everybody who comes here to the studios, I say this is a place without shame, and I mean it because I'll be. And so many of my clients are actually women, and so there is a difference between how you pose a man and a woman, and I'll be there showing them the poses I want from them. And I said, I don't care if it looks ridiculous on me because it does, but I'm giving you yeah, all of those I actually mind myself. You can imagine how I look, in that kind of pose.
It's amazing how feminine we get. I mean, you and I are very macho guys, so it's amazing how all of a sudden this other personality comes. But you have to because generally speaking, they don't know how to pose to bring out their best
Exactly.
features,
So
right?
I'll show them before, and then, of course, these are not headshots. This is the other side of my portraiture, but the rules are the same.
Yeah.
When you're getting good poses and good expressions from people, is because we are working for it, and that is what people get out of working with a photographer. Is really they're getting their best result and the best presentation for themselves. And that is what matters for business. At the end of the day, we want to create that connection that maybe, just maybe, will convince one person, say, you know what, I'm going to call this person here and and hear what they have to say.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, that's. Thank you for showing my work.
Oh, no, it's
Now
gorgeous.
we should look at your work.
Well, I'll throw some of my headshot work up here. I mean, because
Please.
since we're specifically talking headshots,
Yeah,
um,
we want to show people what we're meaning.
yeah. So and let's see if I can. I don't know if I can. Probably not blow that. Yeah, I can't blow that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Control plus.
Um,
Great.
and here again, when and this is something that I do. I don't. Now, this is something I would do for a team, for an office, right? So
Right.
this isn't this is not something that would be for an individual, but this is if you're saying, "Hey, my sales, I've got a cracker nut sales staff, or I've got a cracker technical staff." You want that consistency,
Absolutely.
right, across
Yes.
and the overall look and feel. And their personalities are coming through. There's not a person there that doesn't have their own personality.
Those
Uh,
are beautiful. And let me tell you, this is when I look at images like this, and I'm on somebody's website, and I see something like this, I'm thinking, this is a team. This is a group of people who are working together, because there is a consistency of images. There's also a consistency of quality. My goodness, these are great. They're fantastic. And conversely, I just went to a website like an hour before we started talking today, of a company, a software company that my wife is working with them, and I look at their team photos, and they're terrible. I'm sorry. They're just, some are incredibly blurry. There is no consistency whatsoever. Some are, selfies with the phone like here, below their chin. Uh, that and really, I look at the, if I was in the market to hire a software company, I look at that about page. I'm thinking, no, I'm going to go somewhere else. And because, and you said, but just for the image, yeah, just for the image. This is an interesting topic. You never know the people who walked away from your website because something didn't work for them. They're not going to call you and tell you, you know what, I was on your website, I was almost
no, you'll
ready
never,
to
you'll never
call
know
you.
if they were
And I
there.
look at, yeah, I look at your headshot. You look like an amateur, so I went somewhere else. Nobody's calling you like that.
Yeah.
Nobody's telling you the same thing on LinkedIn. So that's not the reason for caring for your professional image, is to make sure that every aspect of your brand is cared for. Every aspect of your brand has to be spot on, because otherwise there is an inconsistency. You cannot claim we are great, we are professional, blah blah blah, and then you're showing yourself with a selfie that is horrible.
Yeah,
It's just,
the only exception I would make to that,
yeah,
'cause there are exceptions. Look, these are always rules of thumb, right? But the
yeah,
main exception I would make to that is if you are in a situation where you are doing, you're in proof of concept on a product. I'm working right now, or trying to work with a startup company that is working in the tech sector, and they've got some hard tech that they're developing, and they've been proofing this along the way and building in labs and whatnot. So,
okay,
so these guys are not coding, right? I mean, they're actually shaping metal, and it's a really interesting piece of technology in the diesel engine space.
okay.
But they don't always have time to call a photographer to come out and take behind the scenes photos of when they're doing testing.
Oh, but no, I
And in that
agree.
case,
I agree
guys,
with.
grab your cell phone and start snapping away. If
But
you're in
that's
that,
different.
that's a
Yeah,
that so there are times when marketing images, because that's essentially what we're talking about. Headshots are marketing
yes,
images. There are times when marketing images can be behind the scenes, grab and go,
yes,
dirty cell phone, you know,
yeah.
point
Absolutely.
shoot.
No, I'm all for it.
You guys grab it. But
Yeah,
but when it's time to put on, I was about to say, when time to put on makeup, it's time to light the lights. That old Muppet song. When it's time to put on a little spit and polish, then you definitely need to be calling someone who can help you walk you through
absolutely.
that process, so that you're presenting the best possible image for yourself, for
Right.
your company, for your brand, for your products, whatever, so that the person that you're trying to do business with says, I want to do business with them. I need to do business with them.
I was just, yeah, and in fact, I was talking directly about the headshots of the team, and this is also a company that's been around for many years. So
Yeah.
several years. So yeah, I agree with you completely. Yeah. So Doug, is there any like what are the top three tips that we can give? So actually, can I backtrack a second?
Sure.
I know that sometimes people say, I'd love to have professional headshots done, but I'm feeling a little hesitant because I don't know what's going on when I call the photographer. Um, can we pull the curtain away and tell people maybe for 2 minutes what happens when they contact you, and then they decide to have the headshot done by you? What do you do for them?
Well, I would start off by saying, because and I know you've gotten this before. Well, I want to lose some weight before I do. I want to lose 5 pounds, guys. I'm going to tell you right now, you're never going to be at your ideal weight. Not, I mean, unless you're in the Hollywood starlet with a personal trainer and doing this. Don't wait. There's never the optimum time. There might be an optimum time a day, but there's not an optimal date. Just if you,
Can we do something for them though?
yeah, I mean, just it's the old adage: done is better than perfect. So don't wait to be the optimum weight. Get the headshots done because you need to start marketing yourself right away. If your headshot is more than if it's more than a year old, it's time to update it. If it's more than 2 year old, you're past due to update it. And if it's more than 10 years old, God bless you. You need to give up on glamour shots. It's never that shop's never coming back. Um, 'cause I still every once in a while will run across a 30-year-old glamour shot photo headshot from something like really. I mean, stylistically, that doesn't even look right anymore.
And
So
there is a key point here. Styles do change over time.
oh yeah, everything. I mean, look, pick on guys for a second. And I don't really wear suits, but you do. A business suit really hasn't changed radically. The overall
Still,
structure, but
yeah,
the lapels change sizes,
yes, exactly.
ties change sizes. Whether or not you wear a tie or don't wear a tie changes. Like these
I
days,
have a, I have a suit from the 90s, and if I wear it today, it will scream 90s.
it's going to look nice because and especially over the decades, right? The suits will still change.
Exactly.
The style of the suit, the material. I mean, women's fashion seems to change like every 3 months.
It
It's
does.
you know it's moves so fast.
Yeah.
So we were talking about this earlier, hairstyles change and everything. So getting something updated, if at bare minimum once a year, and if you can do, depending on where you are in your company, every 6 months. And that's not to say that it has to go be crazy. So like if I'm
No.
working with somebody on a headshot, ideally I'm working with somebody in HR or the office manager or somebody, and I'm taking care of the entire company at one time, or at least the entire team, right? I'm coming in for the day or for the afternoon. I'm going to be there for several hours, and we're going to rotate everybody through. These are not individual. I mean, they're individual sessions, but it's not up to the individual to
Mhm.
capture, right?
Right.
So the advantage there is the consistency. It's a whole lot easier to create consistent images when you're doing a mass grouping like that. But it's not to say that I don't spend individual time with each individual, and I've got guides that help people prepare. Hopefully, they come prepared. So that you've got your shirt is clean, your teeth are brushed. You brought some, you brought a hairbrush or a comb to work through your hair. I usually bring a lint roller. I haven't gotten to the point where I'm bringing hairspray
I
yet.
buy them by the bulk. Yes.
Yeah. But I mean, I can definitely, hairspray that's cheap to have on hand and whatnot for
Mhm.
little minor touch-ups in camera. So those little touches, right?
Right.
Uh,
General grooming, general look. Check
take
yourself in the mirror just
take
before.
5 minutes and before you
Yes.
walk into whatever the temporary studio is that I've set up, and just check yourself. And then when you get there, know that I'm also going to look. I'm going to have a mirror there for any last minute adjustments that we need to play with. Because this is my job to make you look as good as you can possibly look. that's what I'm there for. And I'll tell you real quickly if it's something that I can be edited or not edited. And I'm
Mhm.
working tethered. I know you're shooting film, so that's you can't really shoot tethered with
But
what you do.
not for headshots though. For
Are you?
headshots,
You're still
the
working digital?
headshots are the only thing I do digital. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
But I'm
And I
working
do, and I go tether too. I
You
do the same.
so their advantage there is we're getting the images right there out of camera. It's
Right.
nice and large, and we can kind of help coach the client a little bit through their best possible looks and angles. But I'm also getting input in from even on a big job. I'm getting input say, hey, which one do you like? Do you like A or B better? I might narrow it down to my top five out of a 20-minute session, but it's like I want their input. I want do they maybe they are. I personally don't like a big toothy grin, but maybe that's who they are. Maybe that's
Generally, I see the same. I see people might sometimes they like a big smile. I mean, a kind of medium smile. The big ha 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 smile. No, generally, I don't see many people choosing that at all.
yeah. I and it maybe just because of the clientele I'm working with, I will generally offer them something, a nice close, maybe a closed mouth smile. Just it's
Yeah.
like a favorite line of mine is look at me like you've got a secret that you can't wait to tell me. It's a really good secret, but
Oh,
but
not
you can't
still
say it.
that.
Yeah, so it's that I want you to get that because I want the excitement right here. I want it in the eyes. The mouth will follow, but I want it in the eyes. Is what I'm looking for. So if I can get that, if I can get people to actually give me that, then it's usually one of the better expressions. But
Nice, nice.
but yeah,
That's a
that's
good
generally what I
tip.
do. And beyond that, it's basic grooming. I've got a tip guide that I'll send out ahead of times on wardrobe.
Right.
If they want to go buy my book, I've got a book available on Amazon that if they want to go buy it and
What's the title?
what's the title? Oh, I'm so glad you asked.
Oh, well, you have your page
I
already
just
there.
have it. I just
How
have
is that happening?
it. Face value. How professional headshots can supercharge your business, and I go to a little deep in depth. I mean, not this isn't a relatively easy read. It's not huge, but it's basic tips and tricks on how to properly prepare yourself. How starting from the ground up, how to thinking about your posture, but also some advanced techniques on how to utilize headshots in marketing, both for yourself and using headshots for your company to market the company, or for the company to utilize headshots as a way to and generate leads at trade shows and expos and that sort of thing. So
The more you know, the better off you are. So
absolutely,
add to it. So if I can add a couple of, and I think we're reaching quite the 45-minute mark, so probably we want to wrap it up. But if I can add a couple of tips on my own, this is for the perspective of working with business professionals, entrepreneurs, people who contacted me directly one-on-one. I generally work with them to craft the message for their brand. In some cases, I spent quite the amount of time talking with the clients. So one of the things I would like to say to anybody who is thinking about getting their headshot done is, first of all, if you're doing a search on Google, for example, because I hear a lot of people calling me and they say, yeah, I was just searching on Google. My next question generally is, so did you have the chance to look at my portfolio? And sometimes people say, no, I just called you. Look at the portfolio, because different photographers have different styles, and you want to select the photographer that has the style that matches your expectations. Sometimes people say, well, it's just a headshot. There are infinite ways of making it happen. And one of the things I do is to actually talk with all my clients and ask them what is important in their brand or in the way they want to be perceived. That can be very, very different from one person to the other. And so my next step is talk with your photographer. Prepare to spend a half hour talking about every part that is important. If you are in the market of, as a business professional, as a solopreneur, somebody who is, somebody who is a financial advisor, a business coach, lawyer, you name it, a realtor, because crafting the right image is important. And I don't want to use one size fits all, because it fits none. And so I want to be there for the message that is important for you. Yes, many times there are overlaps. I want to know the exact mix of overlaps that will work for every person.
Yeah,
So
if you're doing anything in the PR realm, the public
yeah,
relations, media, personal branding,
right,
if you are the brand of your company, if you are the Elon Musk of your world, just to pick on Elon,
no, that's right. I wish he cared a little more about, not that it would make a billion
that's where
more,
having
but
that one-on-one and saying this is the image I'm trying to present. So that, I mean, you have to think of it. You have to think of it like a Hollywood starlet. They spend buku's money with publicists and brand managers who do
yeah,
nothing but manage their professional image.
exactly.
And while you don't have to spend the kind of money that they spend working with a photographer who will take that extra time so that you are presenting the professional brand that you want to present, I think is
Because you have how many chances of making a good first impression?
well, we'll go back to that consistency that we were talking
Exactly
about.
one.
Yeah, but it goes back to that consistency we were talking about, even on a company about page where you mentioned that one company where the headshots were, six kinds of
Terrible.
ways different, and there was, and between acceptable
Yeah.
to terrible. It goes back to consistency. So if you are managing your brand, if you are managing your personal image, there should be a consistency in that, even if that consistency evolves over time, which it will, but there should still be that consistency
Absolutely.
of polish presented every single time. And I think working with you on that is, you know, absolutely invaluable,
That's
and
what we are for.
necessary for people who truly need that. And there are, and most people, probably more people need that than think they do. I would say the vast majority of people need to spend more time thinking about how they are perceived professionally in their imaging than actually do, and sitting down with someone who's willing to talk to you for 20, 30 minutes about, what does that look like. That's time
See,
well.
this is one of the things I hear. A lot of people, a lot of my clients, after they do their session, they come back maybe a year or 2 years later. They told me, you know what, I was very nervous the first time, but boy, after I got my portraits, they gave me so much confidence that I did this instead. Somebody actually started their own company because I'm not even, that's in my testimonial. So gaining confidence is something that helps you fight against that famous imposter syndrome. And how much money are you going to make out of being a more confident professional? I don't think there is really a way of calculating that, but it's going to be a lot. So it's a small investment that's going to give you the confidence that will make you a better person in business. Um, then why not?
Yeah, absolutely.
No?
Why not spend a little bit of money and a little bit of time, even if it's just once a year, uh, to elevate your brand and say, this is who I am, this is who I represent, this is the brand I represent, this is who I am putting out there to do business with, whether that you're selling widgets or services or anything in between. I mean, and I'm going to go back and say, if you're selling your company service, then you need to be promoting your staff.
Right.
Don't rely just on the C-suite, right? You need to be talking about your staff. You need to talk about the guys on the line that make the product, and give them something proud, give them a reason to be proud to come to work every day and say, I make a difference at this company, and this company appreciates the fact that I make a difference because they have featured me in their
Yes.
marketing. And they
Exactly.
have given me something that I can utilize. I mean, the headshot, you're using their headshot to promote your business. They're going to use that headshot and put it on their LinkedIn. They're going to put it on their Facebook. They're going to put it on all these other social media, and they're going to say, "Hey, look, I got my new headshots today. Take and my my boss made it so easy for us."
In fact, it can be even a retention tool. So many companies are looking to keep their good employees with them, and uh, making people feel good about their image, and being more giving a sense of, of team membership is
Gives you a
another
sense of
icing
being
on the cake.
appreciated, a sense of belonging to
Yes,
the company, being part of a team, being a part
yes,
of about being part of a project larger than yourself.
yes.
Gives people a reason to say, "Yeah, I like working for this guy."
And
I
then
want,
you are there on the page, or yeah, and then your image is there, and it's professional, it's nice. That's wonderful.
yeah, absolutely,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
absolutely.
it is everything but the camera. So that, to kind of go back at the beginning,
Yeah.
this is why people hire us, not because of the camera, not because of the fancy equipment. Yes, we have it.
We haven't talked toys at all today, and usually you and I talk toys all the time.
Oh yeah, yeah. But
I
that
mean,
that's
I love the toys, but
of course.
but the art form is not the toys. The toys allow us to create the art form.
Yeah, and so that's really what I wanted to uh, make clear, that this is about the human factor, not the mechanical factor. It's the human factor. It is about the connection that you're making, and you're hiring somebody like Doug, somebody like me, because of our love for the craft. We are pouring ourselves into this craft, and it is because we want to make you look the best you can. And it's not about the toys; it's about the human factor.
Always, every day, all day long. And this, especially when you're talking portraits, and I mean, because photography, as you and I both know, is got multiple genres and multiple areas in which to play with, and part of why I think you and I love the art form. But when I've got someone in front of my lens, the last thing I want to be thinking about is that camera and that lens.
Oh yeah,
I want to be thinking about that person that's in front of me and what I can do to make them feel and look good by the time they walk out of my studio or walk away from my session.
exactly, exactly. That's all that matters.
So good deal. Hey,
Well,
this has been
what do
fun.
you think? We kind of clarified a little bit the the ideas on this, and
This has been fun. We're going to do this again at some point, guys. So stay tuned.
please.
We'll end it from there because we've been talking. Well, Paolo and I can talk for hours. He'll be
Oh,
the person. We can go on. But we don't
and we
want you
do.
to watch for hours. But we do. But we don't want to have to watch all of that. So, look, we will be back at some point. So I hope that you will turn in again. And feel free to check out Paulo's stuff at Paolo Portraits. Feel free to check my stuff out at D&B Productions. We'd both love to talk to you. And by the way, we both travel. Yeah, I don't think either
Yes,
one of us have a problem getting in the car, getting on an airplane to come work with clients. So, pick up that phone, let us know what you're working on. We'd love to chat with you. One more time, here's Paolo's information, paoloportraits.com. There's his phone number. Freeze frame that, write it down real quick, change it, come back, rewatch the video. I'd love to people rewatch.
take a snapshot. Grab the phone. Take a snapshot.
Yeah, that's perfect for the snapshots. How many times have we been to meetings? Oh, let me grab this quick shot of that slide up there.
Exactly.
There's my information, dmbproductions.com. That's an N, not an M. And one of these days, I'm going to learn to say that without it sounding like I haven't figured out how to do that yet. But feel free to reach out. We'd both love to chat and help you out with whatever your portrait and headshot need is, so that you can talk to your clients and present the images and present yourself and your company to your target audience the way you want to be perceived. And that's what we're here to do. So,
Oh,
Paolo, thanks for joining me today.
thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Right. And guys, we're going to sign off from there.
Ciao.